Good morning, I am Cesar Gonzalez and I'm going to present my research as PhD student about an APIfication approach to facilitate the access and reuse of open data. My tutors of the PhD are Irene Garrigós and Jose Zubcoff. In this presentation, we are going to explain the context of this research, which is the main goal of the PhD, our contribution to complete this goal, and finally, the planning of the whole PhD to achieve this contribution. Nowadays, a great effort is being made to publish open data, and there is a great deal of awareness about this data. But a large gap has opened up between the data available on open data platforms and the actual access to them. In order to take advantage of the full value of open data, as many people as possible should be able to explore and analyze this data. However, this is not the case. Although many open data platforms offer mechanisms such as web APIs to access their data, these APIs are generally not enough because they only allow to download entire resources. The APIs are limited to specific resources and suitable documentation easy to read by users is generally missing. Therefore, the main goal of this research is to reduce the gap between data available online and all users interested in this data by facilitating its access. In order to facilitate this access, we provide users with suitable mechanisms to easily access, understand, and reuse open data. These mechanisms follow an APIfication approach, which consists of generating APIs for available open data. This APIfication approach is addressed for every user, considering developers, non-expert users, and also users with visual disabilities who experience barriers while accessing data. So here is the APIfication structure in which we have all the users involved and open data in the right, and we want to facilitate all users to access this open data. The first step of this APIfication approach consists of an automatic API generator, which, starting with open data, is able to generate automatically different web APIs with open API documentation. This generation of web APIs is based on model transformation from available datasets. So starting from an open dataset, the automatic API generator is able to construct a web API and related documentation and data models. This is useful for open data reusers and developers who want to create applications for the rest of the users to easily access and take advantage of this data available online. Then we propose to improve the documentation of these APIs with natural language documentation. So we propose a natural language documentation generator which takes as input a documentation in OpenAPI format, which is easy to process by machines but difficult to understand by users. And from this documentation, the generator is able to create a set of natural language descriptions using natural language processing techniques such as tokenization, semantic disambiguation, and so on. This generated documentation will be easier to read for users, but at the same time easy to process by machines, improving the use of these APIs and the reuse of open data. Moreover, we also aim to improve the access to linked open data, which is generally difficult to access by non-expert users and developers who are not familiar with Sparkle and RDF because of their complexity. Therefore, we propose a universal API with an easy-to-use web interface to facilitate the access and reuse of this linked data offered through Sparkle endpoints. This API we offer is universal because it can be used for any Sparkle endpoint available online and is capable of generating Sparkle queries from user requirements in order to facilitate the query and understanding of data. With this universal API, we aim to help users not familiar with the semantic web environment to access desired data. Finally, we present a web augmentation framework for accessibility in order to facilitate impaired users to access open data. This framework provides users with disabilities accessible websites to easily obtain data by voice interaction. So users can ask the system for different operations about accessibility, such as reading aloud specific sections of the web or reading aloud specific data available online. The different tasks of this research have been planned along the duration of the whole PhD. Firstly, during the first year of the PhD, we analyzed the availability of open data and the difficulty for data users to access this data because of the lack of suitable mechanisms. In order to solve this problem, an approach for generating web APIs was defined during this first year of PhD, which was presented in ICWE 2018 and then submitted to a journal and now is under review. Moreover, we have analyzed and tried to improve the documentation of APIs with natural language during the second and third year of the PhD, which work is going to be presented also in this ICWE 2020. Furthermore, the universal API we propose to facilitate users to get linked open data and the web augmentation framework for accessibility are also going to be presented in this ICWE. At this point of the PhD, there is still work to do, such as evaluating if our contribution is being achieved and submit all these works to different journals. In this presentation, my research as PhD student is introduced. It consists of facilitating users to access and reuse open data. The main contribution is an APIfication approach intended for open data users, developers and familiar with linked open data, non-expert users, and users with visual disabilities interested in accessing online data. Due to time restrictions, I cannot tell the details of each process, but more information is in the mentioned publications which will be presented also in this conference. I am glad to answer your thoughts or questions, and you can also contact us for further information. Thank you for your attention.